Big gap here. So we're off to the local pick and pull. There's a new wagon in the junkyard. So, 84, I believe. Let's go take a look and see. Well, disappointment ensues. I was kind of hoping for a better tailgate than this. Mine's the same problem. Caved in, and I can tell by the broken glass under here that the glass will be no bueno. Weather stripping is a little better than mine, but not perfect. Interior is, believe it or not, the same color. So I'll see if I can use any of these parts. Headliner, droopy like a 57-year-old man. Same as mine, just the storage compartment rather than the seats. Seats would have been nice. If we pop this tailgate, how far is it going to drop? No bueno. We'll put a pair of pliers on that and we'll see. My tailgate, sorry, my rear bumper. My rear bumper is way loosey-goosey compared to that. It does have a trailer hitch as well. So, maybe not a complete lost cause. We'll see about the mounting bolts for the rear bumper. Do a quick little walk around video here, and well, rusty like mine in the same spot. Side mirror, but not the one I wanted. I want that sail mirror right there. LTD, just like mine. Except this is I believe it's a Crown Victoria LTD, or Grand Marquis Country Squire. No license plate cover on the top. Mine is missing, and this one is also missing. So, carbureted. Looks like probably a 351 under the here. 5.8 liter. I don't need anything from underneath the dashboard here because all of mine is going to be switched out. Too bad about signals in the front here. Grill looks to be in good shape, but I don't need a grill. And it's got the older or the newer style bumper without the vents in it. So, well, like I said, I was kind of wishing it was in a little bit better shape than this one is. But hey, it's the junkyard for a reason, right? Power seats. Nice fine, but it's not quite the same color interior. This is more of a chocolate brown, whereas mine is like a burgundy brown. So, dashboard is no bueno as well. Leather wrap steering wheel is nice, except I'm switching all of that out as well. So, locked. Well, let's put a pair of vice grips on this and see how droopy she is. If you remember from previous videos, station wagon, the bumper was a little on the loosey-goosey side. It was shaking pretty bad, and anyone who's following behind me was probably a little bit freaked out by the whole situation. So let's take a look and see what's what with the bumper. So this is the bumper removed. Trying to keep my shadow out of it here, but you can see she's a little on the rough side. And these, of course, are spinning like crazy, so there's no loosening them. So the same issue on both sides. Really, these two bolts were the only two things holding the bumper in place. And well, one there, two there, and the old death wheel. There was absolutely no way I was getting it off. I was able to get them loose, but they weren't coming off. So let's go over there and we'll see the bumper. What's going on over here? These are two brackets that attach to the brackets you saw in there, in the back there. Had to cut off the heads of a couple of them. You can see that they're like a little floater job on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per side is 12. Well, 1, 2, 3 on this side, 4, 5, 6 on this side. No bueno. I was able to twist them loose, but they're just underneath there. You can't really see them. There's a couple that are broken like this here. So we're also completely full of mud and debris and broken off bolt heads. So we're going to start by removing this guy here. That takes this cover off, and we'll see about deleting these little covers of brackets or whatever you want to call them. Maybe we can cinch the bumper in a little bit closer and tuck it. So we'll see if we can save this bumper. I do have some concerns about some damage around the trailer hitch. As you can see here, lots of corrosion. So hopefully we can save it. Deep down inside here, if you can see it or not, but there's a bolt. Another one on this side here as well. So we'll be pounding those through, I have a feeling. All right, let's get back at it. Well, it's a cold and blustery day in the 100-acre woods. A little bit of a light drizzle. Figure I'm going to do some interior work instead of what I really should be doing is getting that car off of that chassis and putting this chassis underneath it. You can see the white Jeep topper up there. That probably should go on before the weather gets too cold. It's a drive under attachment hanging device. Unfortunately, I haven't got any way of getting the Jeep underneath here. So today, being that it's a blustery, kind of cool and damp and drizzly day, I've decided to instead try and kit bash some dashboards together. Let me just show you what I've got going on. So this is the dashboard from the Donor 92. As you can see, it's seen better days. So I really don't have any qualms about dicing and slicing this thing up. If you look down the line, you can see it's got a bit of a curve to it here, which I'm going to have to try and determine how I'm going to make it work with this topper here, which is nice and straight. But as you can see here, the instrument cluster, it's curved, but I think I can cut that nice and straight, tuck it up underneath, and I'll not be able to see it. So the goal is this piece here. This retains the topper from the wagon. These 4 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are these 4 holes here and here. And these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 holes, they mount to the dashboard topper. So I think I'm going to end up trying to do is see if I can slice off the top. Don't mind that. Slice off the top. Again, more broken damage, so it means I don't mind chopping it up. So if I can slice it off, that retaining piece slides underneath it here. So I can see if I can Frankenstein the 2 pieces together. You can see by this little whoop-de-doo here that that won't match up with that guy there. So let's see if I can slice it up, dice it up, try to retain some of these mounting screws for the instrument cluster, and see what I can do. So got the first light toss on. This is the dashboard, mounted to the 2 lower holes on both sides. You can see them underneath there. Had to open that one up with the Christmas tree bit. The center part is just set in place. First impression is maybe a little bit low, maybe a little far out. I'll do some trimming in the corners here. Or the rubber, yeah, don't mind the rust, but The rubber molding won't fit until this gets trimmed at least in half. You see, it chopped a bunch of structure out of this guy up to here. Kept the structure in over there just because I want to hold it all together and just kind of want to see how things go. Easy does it. Hold on a second here. You can kind of see it looks a little bit droopy, so I got the little floor jack to kind of crank this end up here. But you can see this doesn't quite line up. So we got a little bit of a droop in the center. This top hole will not match up. And you can see in there, that top hole also will not match up. So the question is going to be, do I decide to keep this part so I can tie in the instrument cluster and the steering column underneath here, or do I modify the old style to fit the instrument cluster, steering column of the donor car? More to follow. So today is Canadian Thanksgiving. Snow is going to fly before you know it. I started this project with snow on the ground, and I sure the heck hope I'm not going to be working on this with snow on the ground again. So let's just take a quick look at what I accomplished yesterday. It's going to be another wonderful day, probably the best weekend of the remainder of the year. So let's take a look and see what we've got going on here. So we got the front bumper off, and it was as sketchy or convoluted or messy as you may think. Only 3 per side, despite the fact there's 4 holes. And you can see here, there's only 3 holes on the back. Had to cut that one off with the death wheel. Got a couple turns on it, and it was not going any further. This side here, not too bad. So got the hood off. Hood is on the roof of the car. Got to take the front header panel off, the fenders, outer and inner. See about splitting these 2 pieces here together. Taking off the radiator support, pulling the radiator out. Down there you'll see there's a coolant. I've been catching the remaining coolant before it goes down the drain. Been working on the interior, the dashboard. Been test fitting a 92 dash, but I might be just converting my existing dashboard to a 92 sweep speedometer, which I picked up from the yard. Disconnected, just set in place. Just may be cutting the trailer hitch right off completely. It's basically holding it up for now. I would like to also bring this in at least half the distance, maybe more. Sinking in a little bit for a better streamlined look. Maybe do the same for the front as well. This is the rear of the sedan, and it's slightly different than the wagon. Whereas the sedan kicks up, the wagon is much more flat. So there's 2 ways to probably approach this. One of them would be slice and dice, splice on the wagon rear to the front. It's about getting the right height for the rear bumper here as well. I don't think there's going to be any problems using these bracket supports on the other one. These ones at least came out nice and clean. If you can well imagine trying to take these out, front and rear, it's going to be a bit of a fight to get it out. So I'm not even going to bother trying. And here's my dashboard. Been working on. This is a sweep speedometer out of a overdrive 92, early 92 Crown Victoria, or I think it might have been a Grand Marquis. Regardless, you can see without the lighting, 120 mile an hour speedometer sweep. So, and 195,100 and a bit kilometers. Whereas, let's see if I can find it here. Put you on pause for a moment. So today's goal, get the front fenders inner and outer off, get the radiator support, the front header, headlights. You can see I got all the trim off of it already. I'd like to be able to get all of that off the front end, throw a tarp over it, at least in the interim. I'd love to be able to get started on removing the body bolts. You can see what we're looking at here in the rear clip of the sedan. Tends to swoop upwards, where the wagon is much more flat. So one of two things would be like chop it here, splice the back end on, possibly put a pie cut in it, drop it down to straighten it out, maybe even just leave these bushings out. But this is going to be the concern, is getting the bumper height at the right angle. So whatever we decide to do with raising or lowering it, it's going to have to match up to the bumper. Been working on the dashboard. This is a sweep style out of a 92 Grand Marquis. Overdrive, you'll see here. I've been just removing everything in the wagon's dashboard that doesn't quite match up. I'm probably going to have to just cut a plastic surround to match over top of it, just to cover up the cut marks. You'll see here 195, 105. And the wagon is at 195, 659. So within 50 or 500 kilometers, it's a pretty nice little score. As long as it works with the dash wiring and the computer of the 92 donor. So missing a piece here. I think that broke off somewhere along the line. This was broken here. I had to repair it. This one here, big crack, another repair job. So I just like the style of this dashboard. I know it fits. The trick is going to be getting the new steering column just buried down in there, getting it to bolt up to underneath the dashboard for fully supporting it. So being this Turkey Day here in Canada, I've only got a part of the day today, so we'll see how things go. Well, it's kind of a gray and dreary day today. My biggest fear now is I'm going to be working on this car once the snow flies. If you remember seeing my other videos, there's snow on the ground when I started this project, so I have a sneaking feeling that's what's going to happen. I need to get that finger here hardtop on the wife's Jeep before the snow flies. So you can see them back in the back here. Yeah, new tires. I got to get those put on the Jeep as well. So, look grungy here. So, yeah, time to get everything tucked away, put away, covered up with a tarp, and maybe it's time to go in and get some lunch. Oh, it's a little daunting right now, but I think more importantly is getting that guy onto here. Well, I've gotten as far as I can for today. Weather's still beautiful outside. Nice sunny sky. But tarp it up, at least keep the rain off of it. I pulled out all of the bolts, the body mounts. Some of them came out not too bad. Some of them, snapped it off. Not too bad. Oh, yeah, there's nothing left of that one there. That was from the very rear. This one also, I believe, came out of the very back. See how much it's corroded down to nothingness. The worst one was this one. Oh, this was from the back. This one here from the rear. The rest of it's still inside the body. These are from the very front. So the rest of it is in between the frame and the header for the radiator support. So there's a whole selection from the previous donor car, and they're going to be used to replace all of these. What scares me though is the ones that are broken, they're still in the body. So once I get it lifted up, I'm going to be pulling them out, I guess, when it's in the air. Vice grips, torch, drill it out. Who knows what's going to end up happening. We'll wait and see. But for now, anyways, I'm going to put a hold on things, clean up this mess. This is all probably just going to go in the trash, except for these two large washers, these two nuts. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm going to take a bunch of the hardware from the hood fenders and put it in a tub of evapor rust, clean it all up, and prepare for the big lift. So you got my 2x4s, my 2x6s here, and I got some more moved over to this side here. I have to cut a couple of them down to length so that they're going to go underneath the sill. Tie them together with the big lift. Try and figure out where the balance point is between front and rear, because there's a lot on the wagon. It's probably going to be in here somewhere. So we'll wait and see how that goes. I got lots more to do in the garage to get it ready, the chassis ready. The number one thing is cleaning it all off, getting everything off the top of it, but you can just barely see right there, there's an H pipe. And I decide whether go with a muffler delete and leave the cats in place, or do I cut the cats out, sell them because they're worth money. I don't know whether these ones are worth much. And then put 2 mufflers in and over the axle for the tailpipes, and then out the side. You see this side here is out the back, but because it's a wagon, it's a lot longer, I might just go and out the side in front of the rear wheels. We'll see what happens. I got lots of spare parts of exhaust manifolds and mufflers back there, so we'll be piecing it together. But that's for another day. So we're back at the wagon again today. As you can see, we got some snow on the ground. Weather's supposed to be really nice this weekend. I started this project with snow on the ground, and continuing on with the project, snow on the ground. 2x4 stacked on top of each other, screwed together, and they're under the rockers for support to lift it up. But with the rotchiness here, as you can see, I put a 6-inch block between the body mount on the frame and the body mount on the body, just to lift it up enough so I can start working on jacking it up, getting some separation so I can get the chassis out from underneath it. So we're going to give this a try. Instead of at the rear so much, behind the rocker, I'm going to go underneath. I started here, just because the balance point is right about there. So that's why I've left the fenders attached for the extra weight on the front to keep it from tipping over. So hopefully by the next time we join this project, it'll be up and off the ground with boards underneath to jack the car up. By sliding 2x4s screw together like so underneath, but the rockers, they're softer than I thought. So the fender, of course, is just set in place to give it a little extra weight. So I've been taking the suspension out of the rear, the springs, shocks. Hopefully I want to lay this chassis down as low as it can possibly go under a cheap ass Princess Auto cart. So you can see by the suspension by coming out, then it'll droop down, and hopefully we'll get it as low as we can so we can get the clearance underneath the body to slide the frame out. Here we are over on the other side working on life. And you got the spring compressors in there. Shock is out. Pull this guy out here. The shock is already out. Spring helpers I had in for the Great Beater Challenge. Not last year, but the year before. Everything's been disconnected. Fuel line, pause. Fuel tank is out. You see this little dent or indentation or outcropping there. That's what makes the wagon tank unique to the wagon and different from the sedan. Well, this is it for today. Covered up. Keep the snow off of it in case snow flies tonight. Suspension is down as low as it'll go. And frame is at the front anyways here. Near on the ground down here. Pretty low with the hitch on the back and the bumper hitches. There's lots of room in here. Lots of missing pieces in there too, but well, what can you do, right? Built up, sorry about the shadow, built up a little wooden support to keep the back end up on the most stable part of the rear of the car. There's lots of corrosion, and I started pushing on some parts underneath there. They were tending to cave in a little bit, so I picked the sturdiest and strongest part, the chassis underneath here, and this is more to make sure it doesn't fall over. Because as I jack up the front now, slide this baby forward, but I'll have to lift this end up with the car. So it'll have to go, well, more like that to lift the front up. That way it'll slide out from underneath it. And I want something strong on the back so it'll be like a pivot point at the back end as I lift it up from the front. So for today anyways, taking a break. We'll be back at it if the weather holds.